morning. Good morning. Welcome to Living Beyond Limits. If you do not know, I am Reverend Jennifer Spear, and we are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living. I'm so glad you have come to share your morning with us. And if you are new to us today, from the very bottom of our hearts to yours, we're so glad that you joined us. Welcome. And so I invite you right now to join me in reading our mission statement that's on the front of your bulletin. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. That's what we're up to here at Living Beyond Limits, as we are giving ourselves the opportunity to move into that place within ourselves that we know who we are as spiritual beings, where we can perceive and feel and sense that we are indeed at our core, at our essence, that we are spiritual beings, that one presence, that one power, that one life, that one good expresses itself as everything in this physical universe, including us. That means then if that presence is expressing itself in us and through us and as us, that which that presence is lives within us. That means then that the love of spirit is already innate to our beingness, that the peace of the divine is already here within, that we are wholeness in form, that the power and the fortitude and the strength of spirit imbue us all of the time, regardless of what's happening in our lives or regardless of what's happening in the world. That means then when the world is not being peaceful or kind or loving, we aren't reliant on the world being like that in order for us to be loving or kind or gentle or compassionate or whatever it is that the world and life is calling for, asking us to be. And so it is our own soul that calls us to walk this path, to be a light in the world, to be a beneficial presence, and to bring our own heart and our own spirit into this world and makes it that in a way that makes a difference. And so I thank each of you for answering the call of your own spirit to be walking this path and to be bringing your light into this world. There's a bumper sticker that says, "If you lived in your heart, you'd be home right now." You know, when we come from our hearts in the world, we are automatically at home in ourselves. We are home in our spirit, and we create that heavenly abode. As spiritual beings, we need to love. We need to give expression to our spirit and to our divine nature. We need to be a beneficial presence in this world and to bring good into this world. But it is only through mindfulness and through making conscious choices that we are actually able to come from our hearts or to be loving when things are happening that we don't like. It's only through mindfulness and conscious choosing that we're able to be loving when things don't go our way, or when people do things that we don't like, behave in ways that we don't approve of. You know, when someone is rude or abrasive, it can be so easy to be rude right back to them when they're rude to us. You know, maybe when someone cuts you off in traffic, or drives in ways that are inconsiderate of all the other drivers on the road, it can be really easy to fly off the handle, to yell at that person, and maybe even to wish them some sort of small retribution. Or how about when your spouse doesn't follow through with what they told you they were going to do? It can be so easy to get mad. It can be easy to yell at them. And then in that anger, it can also be so easy to bring up all the other reasons that you're irritated with them or the things they do wrong or the reasons that you're mad. Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a Buddhist monk, said The Buddha taught that it is possible to live 24 hours a day in a state of love. Every moment, every glance, every thought, and every word can be infused with love. You know, the reason we get snagged so often in not being loving is because we get so self-involved and so self-absorbed. We get caught in our perspective, in our opinion, in our being right, or sometimes we're just so caught up in our own life and all the things that are going on in our life, or in the problems that we're experiencing in our lives, that then when we're caught up in all that stuff, it's really difficult to see from another perspective or to see beyond our own perspective. Or sometimes we get commandeered by self-righteous judgment. You know, when we think that our beliefs and our actions are inherently better than other people's values or opinions or actions. And when we get caught up in that self-righteous condemnation, what happens is then we criticize and then we condemn other people based on our standards and our ideas. Self-righteous judgment is based on a lack of empathy, a lack of seeing from another person's perspective, a lack of recognizing the complexities of a situation or of the mitigating factors of a situation and what's happening. There's a story that says, this story is actually based on an incident reported by James N. McCutcheon in Margaret Siff from the book 100 Wisdom Stories from Around the World. It says, a story is told about an incident that happened during the 30s in New York on one of the coldest days of the year. The world was in the grip of the Great Depression, and all over the city, the poor were close to starvation. It happened that the judge was sitting on the bench that day, hearing a complaint against a woman who was charged with stealing a loaf of bread. She pleaded that her daughter was sick and her grandchildren were starving because their father had abandoned the family. But the shopkeeper, whose loaf had been stolen, refused to drop the charges. He insisted that an example be made of this poor old woman as a deterrent to other people. The judge sighed. He was most reluctant to pass that judgment on the woman, yet he had no alternative. I'm sorry, he said as he turned to her, but I can't make any exceptions. The law is the law. I sentence you a fine to $10, and if you can't pay, I must send you to jail for 10 days. The woman was heartbroken. But even as he was passing the sentence, the judge was reaching into his pocket for the money to pay the $10 fine. And this is a true story. He then took off his hat and tossed the $10 bill into it and then addressed the crowd. I am also going to impose a fine of 50 cents on every person here present in this courtroom for living in a town where a person has to steal bread to save her grandchildren from starvation. Please collect the fine, Mr. Bailiff, in this hat and pass them across to the defendant. And so the accused went home that day from the courtroom with $47.50. The 50 cents of which had been paid by the shame-faced grocery store keeper who had brought the charge against her. And as she left the courtroom, the gathering of petty criminals and the New York policemen gave the judge a standing ovation. You know, when we find moments that we are having in our lives where we aren't able to come from our hearts, where we aren't able to be loving, that means we are stuck in our ego's perspective. It means you are only seeing what's going on in the world from an ego perspective. So rather than making a conscious choice, remember we talked in the beginning, it takes mindfulness and conscious choices. Rather than making a conscious choice from your own inner beingness or from your own spirit, you're only making that decision from your ego. And when you're making it from your ego, what that often means is you're making your choice, your decision, your perspective from fear, from a sense of competition, from a sense of scarcity, and you're only seeing from that portion. Reverend Darrell Jones says, "To love without condition is to remember who we are." One of our greatest needs as spiritual beings is to remember who we are. So the title of my talk today is Welcome to Love's Abode. And I'm talking about practicing what is called the 4 divine abodes, or the 4 immeasurable minds of Buddhism. I'm talking about those and how they support us in walking this spiritual path, how they support us in heeding the call of our own soul, how they support us in bringing our spirit into the world and in creating heaven on earth. And so those 4 divine abodes consist of 1, loving kindness, 2, compassion, 3, sympathetic joy, and 4, equanimity. And so we're going to take a look at those 4 things today. And so loving kindness is really about wishing every sentient being on the planet, without exception, wishing them to be happy, wishing them to be well, and that includes yourself. Loving kindness includes every person and yourself. It is about having a warmth that reaches out to people and touches others. It is about reaching out with that warmth and that kind of an attitude to those you know and to those you don't know, to those you agree with and those you don't agree with. It's about wanting the best for them, wanting them to be happy, wanting them to be safe, wanting them to be well. Practicing loving kindness, what happens is it enables us to let go and relax. It allows us to let go of the struggle and the strain and our condemnation. It reduces stress and anxiety and depression. And practicing loving kindness makes us feel lighter. It makes us feel more loving and experience more love. The second one, which is compassion, is about the desire to alleviate the suffering of other people. That's the motivation that we have inside of us to help people that are in need, to help the woman whose children were starving and whose daughter was sick. It's the thing that motivates us here to do things like Undie Sunday, where we're collecting socks and underwear for people that are unhoused. It's the thing that motivates us to work at Ronald McDonald House and make food for parents whose children are in the hospital, or to adopt a family at Christmas, or a myriad of the things that we do as outreach, or maybe where you volunteer in your own life. That's about having compassion, a wish to alleviate the suffering of other people. It leads us, having compassion for others leads us to feel happier and more fulfilled. Do you feel more fulfilled when you do something like that? It fulfills us on a deep level, makes us feel happier and more fulfilled because we're being of service to other people. It makes us feel more connected to other people. The third thing is sympathetic joy, which I'd never heard that term before. Sympathetic joy is about celebrating and being happy for other people's joy and other people's success and other people's happiness. When people accomplish something and they feel good about it, it's about being happy for them and celebrating that. You know, it makes me think of watching the Olympics. I don't know about you, but when I watch the Olympics, I don't really care which country wins. I am so happy for every single one of those people that they actually made it to the Olympics, that they have worked so hard and accomplished this thing in a lifetime. That's sympathetic joy, being happy for them and their accomplishment. It also makes me think of the opposite of that. I remember when I was probably in my 20s, one of my hairdressing clients saying something to me. There was some beautiful actress that was on the front of People magazine, and she goes, "I know, don't you just hate her?" And I remember thinking to myself, no, I don't hate her, because I don't feel like I'm in competition with her. What's to hate? No, in fact, I celebrate her beauty, and what a wonderful thing that is. But that's the opposite of that, being joyful for someone else. And so the result of practicing sympathetic joy is we feel less jealous. We have an enhanced sense of well-being. It gives us a more positive outlook on life in general. We experience less burnout in our lives, and we experience greater joy because we're feeling joy in those moments. And so the fourth and last one in this list is equanimity. And that is about having an attitude that all sentient beings are equal. It is about recognizing that we are all equal, irregardless of a person's relationship to you, irregardless of how you feel about them. It is also about having an even temper and composure in difficult situations. It's about having clarity. It's about being grounded in challenging moments. And so I think the first part of equanimity, about recognizing that we are all equal with each other, really comes out of meditation. It comes from that recognition in meditation that we are whole, that there is only oneness, that we are all part of that oneness. I think it comes out of that inner realization and feeling of connection. And the second part, I think, is a very human activity, and I think it comes out of letting go of our need to control outcomes. Only when we're letting go of our need to control outcomes can we feel grounded and peaceful when things are going on that aren't in alignment with our preferences. So that can look like doing the practice of conscious breathing in a moment when things feel stressful. It can look like allowing things to be just what they are. And it can also be about a willingness to see from another person's perspective, like the story about the judge. Seeing from another person's perspective lets us let go of the anxiety and the stress in our judgment. Imagine that you're walking along a sidewalk with your arms full of groceries, and someone roughly bumps into you so that you fall and your groceries are strewn on the ground. As you rise up from the puddle of broken eggs and tomato juice, you are ready to shout out, "You idiot, what is wrong with you? Are you blind?" Just before you can catch your breath to speak, you see that the person you bumped into actually is blind. He too is sprawled in the spilled groceries, and your anger vanishes in an instant to be replaced by sympathetic concern. Are you hurt? Can I help you? Seeing from another perspective, getting outside of ourselves, changes everything. In order to practice those 4 divine abodes, it takes getting outside of ourselves. To practice loving kindness, to practice compassion, to be joyful for others, to come from a place of groundedness and see our equality. It takes getting outside of ourselves. It takes wanting other people to experience joy, to experience sufficiency and safety and well-being. It takes extending our hearts to people who are suffering. It takes recognizing that there is no competition, that instead we are sourced by that divine presence at all times in all things. That's how we can celebrate with other people as they celebrate their accomplishments and what they have in their lives. And it takes recognizing that we are eternally connected to every single person, to every single thing, because we are all part of this oneness of life. And those are the exact spiritual principles that we teach at Centers for Spiritual Living. Coming from your heart, first of all, let me tell you, Mark Nepo says, the aim of all spiritual paths, no matter their origin, is to help us live more fully in the lives we are given. When we are able to come from our hearts, regardless of the situation, that enables us to live life more fully. It allows us to live an expanded life because we're not just living from that ego perspective. We live an expanded life. And in turn, we move from self-focus to experiencing that connection with everyone. Practicing compassion enables us to discover that our hearts were bigger than we ever knew they were. Celebrating other people's joy enables us to feel more joyful and to recognize that there are so many things to celebrate in this world and in life that we didn't even notice before. It enables us to feel more grateful. Reverend Darrell Jones says the qualities, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity are how love moves through us, how God lives in us, and how we reveal heaven on earth. And so I would love to take you through a meditation about love right now. So I invite you just to kind of settle yourself into your chair and to take a few deep breaths, exhaling each one fully, and just allow yourself to relax. And begin to turn your attention inward to the center of your being. Here is a space of absolute silence, perfect stillness. Here is the place where you experience the essence of your very being. Here you experience the essence of your spirit, the essence of your soul. In this silence, you return to the truth of who you are. You return to the truth of what you are. Spirit divine. Love, unconditional. Peace that passes understanding. This is the energy you were born out of, and that which you are maintained and sustained by. It is as if you are filled with and immersed in an ocean of unconditional love. love, sweet and pure, calm and infinite. You were born out of the very essence of love and are surrounded and filled from within by this energy of love. In this communion, Spirit within whispers, "You are my beloved. I am in you. You are in me." I can never leave you, for we are one. I am the I am of your being. I am the love in your heart. I am the life in your breath. I am the all in all. You are the love of me, the peace of me, the light of me. Your essential nature is goodness itself, love unconditional. Your spirit is the very essence of compassion and benevolence, acceptance and kind-heartedness. Gentleness and peace. You are these things, for you are of me. There is no other. There is only one. 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 I invite you to bring this awareness of this oneness, of love unconditional, as the very essence and fabric of who you are, and ground it in every cell of your body. Imagine it as a color or as a golden light filling every cell and fiber of your being. You have known this truth at the depth of your being forever. And now you have an experience of it in this moment. Allow it to live in your mind and in your body so that you have a newfound awareness of this truth. The truth that you carry with you at all times. You are love incarnate, now and forever. And now I invite you to begin to bring your awareness back to your body, to this time and this place. Feeling the temperature of the air on your skin. Feel yourself being supported by the chair that you're resting on. Feel your feet and your hands. You might wiggle your fingers and toes. And then bring your awareness back to this room. And so my invitation to you this week is to wish everyone happiness, to wish everyone a sense of well-being, to wish for them safety and sufficiency, enoughness, wholeness, peace, to reach out and help those who are in need, and to celebrate other people's happiness and accomplishments and their joy, and to hold everyone as equals. And as a result of that, you'll be experiencing more joy in yourself, in your own experience, have a greater sense of fulfillment, and really be living your soul's purpose in this world. And so blessings to each and every single one of you as you bring your light to this world in a way that is healing and in a way that is a blessing to everyone. Thank you for that. Blessings to you. And so I invite you right now to join me in an affirmative prayer. And so we take our attention from this world of form, this material world, and turn our attention to that infinite presence in the great invisible that is everywhere present. That infinite presence that fills all of time and all of space, every single moment, every single situation. That living presence is right there. It is active. It is alive, it is unfolding itself, it is revealing itself, it is downloading itself right now in the minds and the hearts of every single person on this planet. For I know that each and every single one of us, we are each individualized expressions of this one. And that means the allness of this presence and power is present in every heart and in every mind and in every life and in every situation. I claim and know right now that wisdom is leading each and every single one of us into making the highest and the best choices for this planet, for this world, for all of humanity, and for life. I know that the love that Spirit lives within the heart of every single person, and we are each being led by that love within our hearts also to care for the whole, to care for the planet, to care for each other, and to be a beneficial presence in this world. I know that the light of the divine, in that light there is no darkness. For in that light, the darkness simply disappears. And right now, I recognize that that light is everywhere present, active everywhere in every person, in every situation. And so we just lean in right now to Spirit, to that the divine within each one of us, recognizing the call of our hearts and souls to be the light, to be a beneficial presence, to bring good to this world. And as we do that, we become a blessing in all that we do, everywhere that we go. And so I also speak this word specifically and particularly about every single world leader, every single politician, every single policymaker, every decision maker, knowing that same wisdom of the divine is present within them, and it is guiding their choices and their decisions and their actions right now. That they are inspired anew, that something is stirring within them that they probably never even recognized before. And it is that life of Spirit, the love of the divine, And it is whispering and speaking and nudging and urging inside of them right now. And I know that they hear it, that it is loud enough and clear enough that they hear that call of the divine. And so recognizing that that is the only presence and power that exists, we just lean into that and allow that to unfold. And so I release this prayer into that creative law of the universe, recognizing and knowing that it is unfolding itself all around us right now. And so in faith and in confidence, we rest there. And we release this prayer, and I invite you to join me in affirming that by saying, "And so it is." I have a couple of announcements for you. First one is the end of, this is the first of the month, the end of the month, the fourth Sunday, we are doing a picnic in the park again, having service in the park, and then a picnic afterwards back here. The fifth Sunday, I'm going to invite Rebecca up to give you an announcement. Normally, we do a fifth Sunday, there's 4 of them in a year, we do outreach, and this time we're not doing an outreach. We had Ronald McDonald House scheduled, and it kind of fell apart. So here, you have to. Yes, ma'am.
So this time we're doing something different. We are hosting a fundraiser called Sleep In Sunday. Okay, so you can buy a ticket to not have to come here. You get to sleep in. And so we have 3 different levels of participation. There is, for $20, there's Just Relax. Okay. For $30, there is Comfort Plus. Okay. And then we also have the third level, which is called Extreme Comfort, and you set your price for that one, okay? So if you would like a ticket, please see me, and you can pick up whichever type of ticket you would like for August 31st, Sleep In Sunday.
So we invite you to follow us on social media, and our talks come out on Tuesday. They're on our website and on our Living Beyond Limits, what's it called? No. YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And we have prayer support after service. And so I invite you to repeat after me, "Good fills my life now. Good fills my life now. I recognize it. I savor it. I own it. And I live it. And so it is.